What's up, guys? Sub-Zerk here, back for another VOD review, and today we are doing a VOD review of this new school Mighty Mech comp. I got a team planned out for you guys because I know you guys said that you liked that, and so I guess just as kind of a how did we get here? It used to be, back in the day, that people would play this board, and then they would throw Urgot onto the board, they would Mecha Urgot, and then you had this nice kind of like flex slot. You could throw Thomas Kench in on this board. People would play stuff like Maokai and Akali on this board as well. It was kind of like a choose your own adventure. You could play a lot of these different pieces on this board, but you play the Urgot because he was free. He's not actually free because going up to 6 mecha, it gives you +1 team size, but you're playing Urgot, so you have to spend the 1 team slot on the Urgot, but you get a Mecha Urgot for only 1 team slot, which is nice. What you've seen people do a lot more recently is we say, we're actually just not going to play the Urgot here, not going to play all of this package stuff, and just fit in 2 really good aura units. We're going to fit in Rost on this board, and we're going to fit in Morgana on this board. So we're going to get a 4-trait Redeemer bonus, and we're going to get the Dark Lady bonus on this board. And this board actually performs really, really nicely, as you'll see in today's VOD review. If you guys look at the kind of like the stats of this comp, you'll see that this is still the version that people are playing the most, the 6 Mighty Mech version of the line. But this version is raising in popularity here, gaining pick rate, has slightly better stats here, slightly lower win rate, which is funny, but, higher top 4 rate, higher AVP. So this is just a good line to play around. So we are going to watch Wasianiverson play around it. This was one of his first games, actually, on the new patch after it came out. But he piloted it really, really nicely, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So to talk through that piece of it, I guess. Why does it make sense to cut the Urgot on the board? Well, if you aren't in this situation where you're cashing out something like, an Ooh Blaster or a Battle Bunny Crossbow, these items that you can throw onto the Urgot, if you're not doing that, then usually Urgot basically sits there unitemized for the entire game, and a Mecha Urgot that's completely unitemized doesn't really do anything. He really adds nothing to the board, and like I said, you get to mecha him for free, but you still have to waste kind of a unit slot on playing him. The other thing is this innovation of playing around this Morgana, playing around this extra Rost on the board as well. We can talk about augments here, but honestly, I think it's pretty straightforward. We don't have a great opener, and so Patient Study is kind of our default in the slot here. He sees Heat Death, and he's like, well, we have the Komodo Anvils, but Heat Death, I think, is still not very good, so I don't think we're going to be picking Heat Death here. And yeah, I mean, this is really the only acceptable option in our spot here, so I don't think there's much more to it than that, and we can just play this board as our strongest board. Okay, to get back into it, Morgana is this unit who, a few patches ago, back when we were playing the 6 Mighty Mech version of the comp, I mean, Morgana didn't even exist as a 4 cost, right? A few patches ago, she was sitting as a 5 cost, so that's why people didn't play her like way back towards the start of the set. And Rust, they've changed Rost now so that, he gives his full bonus at 1 star and doesn't really upgrade if you go to 2 star or 3 star. So he's a very solid, even just at 1 star addition onto the board. The extra armor and Amara is nice. The attack speed it's kind of whatever, but not even the worst onto the board. So yeah, it's just good extra units onto the board. The last piece of it that I do want to touch on is the healing from Morgana is actually really, really nice. If you read Morgana's ability, I know TFT players don't read, but she actually heals your enemy or heals your allied units as well when she casts. This is really nice on a Mighty Mech unit that might be sitting on like a double gargoyle setup, having a ton of effective HP. The Armor and Amar makes each point of HP really, really, really valuable. So getting the extra healing is also fantastic there. So all of these things just line up with, it makes a lot of sense to play this version of the line. It's also just like very easy and straightforward. You don't have to figure out, am I playing Nova? Am I playing, Dark Star? Am I playing Thomas Kench? No, I'm just playing this. And it's also, I guess, to talk about Tom Kench, I feel like this unit has been nerfed and nerfed and nerfed to the, I remember, you guys remember at the start of the set when if you had 2 4 costs, he was guaranteed to print you the 2 star. I mean, that version of TK was amazing. This version of TK these days, I mean, I'm sure you guys have played around it. Like, TK does some garbage, honestly. Wasian has the opportunity to take Giant Spelt as a good item here, but I really do like the own 3 cost in this spot here. We're going to be good on items this game, so the extra 5 gold is really what we care more about in this spot here. He knows he wants to play this Lost Streak opener into Anima, does get the Alawi off Carousel here, so now we can start truly Anima Lost Streaking. 2-5 tends to be a tad bit sketchy to get Anima in, means you need to usually drop down to 1 life to get the cash out or kill a ton of units, but I mean, Wasian's going for it. It's also kind of like, well, what else are we going to do, right? We're on a loss streak. We might as well do this. And he is going to team planner out this mecha board that we just talked about. The Blitzcrank, by the way, is a really nice, final addition onto this board on the next level on 9 because he's 2 trait blitz. So all of a sudden you're up to 6 traits for Ross, which is really, really, really nice. So that is the dream for the cap out for this line. And he throws Nunu there into the team planner as well. It's just like, okay, if we hit Nunu, we can play him. He could also go in on level 9 if we must. So yeah, this is going to be the setup here. He sees this other player who's Anima. The upside is this Anima guy looks like they're just going to take a 200 cash out and get out and try to play into like a Jinx type game. So it's actually pretty chill for us. They're not looking to grief us. So one of those rare Anima games where no one's actually interested in griefing you and you can just chill. One of those games where I feel like the best players get into these spots so much more often than bad players. And I mean, I'm including myself in bad players. Like, I feel like I always end up in some lobby where I like take Anima and then there's like some assassin out there griefing me. And then if you're really, really good at the game, you understand the lobbies with which you can play Anima. You see a lobby where you're like, okay, this, there's people with calculated loss or stuff like that in my lobby. I'm going to lean away from Anima versus, the lobbies where everybody's playing for win streak, like this lobby where it's actually totally chill to play Anima here. So looks very good. Wasian's spot. He can wait for Augment here. I think it makes a lot of sense to wait for Augment before we do burn all these anvils and kind of lock ourselves into a line. Because, hey, maybe we get something crazy, get like a Kahuna Huna or something, and we're like, maybe we'll play Master Yi. Some kind of very committal Augment could help us a lot here as far as, deciding what line we actually want to play. So let's see that Augment, get our game plan figured out. I don't really love any of these. Wasian actually considers size matters here, which I think is crazy. But then he sees second win. I think second win is just an amazing pickup in this line. Getting the second win healing onto your mighty mech, I mean, that is a very, very solid combat augment. And yeah, he's just taking a peek at this guy who's playing Anima. But honestly, I don't think he needs to int that hard. He's like fielding his Anima units and just making sure he has the ability to sell off. But I mean, look at that guy's board. He's got all these items slammed. I think it's pretty unlikely he's going to grief us. But I mean, very diligent by Wasianiverson to say, you know what, I'm going to be open to the fact that I might have to sell my board. It's possible that if I, rotate into this guy and he wants to, he could grief me. So we're going to do our best here to ensure that we don't get griefed. This person did just hit 200 stacks, so it's very likely that they are going to take the cash here. But we will see if that's what they want to do here. Until then, we are just going to chill here on our board, and he does take the cash. So now Wasian is kind of gets the green light to do whatever he wants here. He could start popping anvils if he wants. He can also just wait the round here just to see carousel. But yeah, he's going to start. Well, he slams a tier, and that's it. But we can definitely start slamming anvils now. Very likely to go for that gargoyle type setup for the Mighty Mech. Gargoyle, and then Sterak's is really, really good. Wasian makes some interesting item decisions this game. Divine Empathy looks amazing here. We're already almost at both items, so not bad. And we can just take the Chain Vest for the gargoyle. So looking good items wise here. We just need to pop these anvils, hopefully find some rods here for a death cap for the A-Soul, and just end up in a good spot. I know this is another Anima A-Soul game, but I thought the shift in the composition, the idea of playing around this Morgana version was just so cool that I was like, yeah, I would actually like to talk about it. So anvil, we get rod here. I thought Wasian was going to go for Sterak's in this spot here. That's what I would have taken in this spot, but he actually opts to take the glove here, I believe. Yeah, the glove here with the idea of making sure that he can slam a JG in this spot. The other thought that he had is that he could just make a Spirit Visage onto his, eventual Mighty Mech, which is in my head kind of interesting. I delved into the stats and saw that, yeah, I mean, Sterak's and the Spirit Visage are kind of like sort of equivalent depending on what you have as far as like the Anima items and what your other items are. I do think the most consistent normal BIS is just Gargoyle, Sterak's. So a little bit surprised that he stayed away from it and opted not into making the death cap. But I think he's also leaning more towards making this JG because he knows we're not going to play Akali on this board. So we do really want to get the spell crit onto this A-Soul. We just love to get the death cap and the JG here. This is also what I was saying about it being slightly sketch to play this line from the 2-5 getting Anima in. We're at 13 HP and we're one round away from cashing. Now, the upside is we're 391 stacks. We've killed enough units that we can actually go for the win in this next fight. We can roll it down here and try to win this next fight. And if we win and keep Anima in while winning, then we will be able to cash out and have the HP to play the game. Worst case, we'll just take a kind of bad loss, but hopefully we will get there. Wasian rolls really deep here, does pick up the Mighty Mech too, doesn't really have the space to mech everything right now, so he can just throw regular items here and is going to make the JG, gonna make the Death Cap, gonna make Guard Breaker here, great items, and is gonna make that Spirit Visage like we talked about, and is kind of banking on the fact that we're gonna get a tank item out of Anima here, and even, yeah, slams the red buff here just to try to make sure that we win this fight, and we do win, which is huge here. So let's see, last augment here. This is also a cool pick from Wasian here. I mean, the other options are not amazing, so he opts to take Booster Pack here with the idea is like, I actually kind of need some gold in this spot here. We're not quite stable yet. Really need to find a soul, and obviously need to mech up these guys and get into a good board here. So he's going to mech this guy, going to mech the a soul here, and yeah, we really need a soul too, honestly, to truly be stable. Upside for Wasian is he does get that beautiful cash out in the Radiant Field. This is actually statistically the worst tank item onto the Mighty Mech. I think the other ones just do a lot more as far as tankiness goes, but it's still a tank item onto the Mighty Mech, which is exactly what you want here. So yeah, we win the fight, and now we are into this board. He was thinking about maybe pushing 9, but I think now that he has the Karma pair and the A Soul pair, I think it's kind of necessary to roll here. He does scout the lobby and say, actually, I might not need to roll here, though he then ends up rolling anyway, because I think he's a little bit afraid of maybe taking a loss here. Obviously, 13 HP, you know, there's not a lot of room for error here. If we take a loss, we are very likely to live, but I mean, it's possible that we even die from 13, and, you know, worst case, you know, we take a loss here, bad loss, drop down to, you know, 1 or 2 HP, and then next fight will be guaranteed to kill us for sure. Own 4 cost, I feel like you just have to take in this spot because of the possibility of hitting A Soul, and then he gets A Soul from the armory here. So all good. We are in a spot here where we have the A Soul 2, we have the Mech 2, and we have reached the board. This is just kind of like the Nirvana state for this comp, and we also have the Blitzcrank waiting in the wings to be added on our next level. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Our setup here gets the Adaptive Helm here. That was kind of interesting. I thought he was going to adaptive the Karma, and then it kind of looks like, I mean, you can adaptive the Morgana here for sure as well, just to get her casting. It's almost looking like he's going to wait here. Yeah, I think his idea, which makes a lot of sense, honestly, is we're going to hold this cloak for second Gargoyle into the mech. That's what we really want, because Radiant Field is just a lot of HP at the end of the day. We don't really need Spirit Visage Radiant Field. We'd really like Gargoyle Radiant Field. So we are going to wait on this, try to get the Gargoyle off of the Treasure Dragon here, and then end up in a spot where we have really, really good items. Kind of funny that we just randomly cloaked the Morgana, because we're going to have to burn a remover on it, but we got a lot of removers. I think it's going to be okay regardless. But yeah, we level for the Blitz here. This is really where this board tends to shine, is we have this 6 trait Rost in here, a bunch of Armor attack speed onto our entire board. We have the Morgana buffing up the entire board. The 4% DR is not bad, and obviously when she transforms, getting 10% DR is huge. So yeah, we're going to roll down here, and immediately we find this Gargoyle here, Gargoyle and second Spirit Visage, which is funny because then we're just going to end up in this world where we are double Spirit Visage onto the Morgana, which, you know, I don't think is crazy good, but it's good enough here. It's going to, you know, give her a little bit of mana gen to get her casting, and we just have great items onto the A Soul. And then all we have to do at this point is probably just push straight to 10. You could roll on 9 here for Blitz 2, but Blitz is such a contested unit these days, and it's also like, what does a Blitz 2 really do on our board? We can just go for the 10, get the 3 Conduit in with Bard. Bard is just a very nice in on this board as well. This board, it's just, it feels a lot more straightforward. The old school board, I think, you know, there's so many different variations of it, and obviously if you do end up with AD items, you want to play that version of the board. It's almost like the different versions of Vex, right? Where you have like Vex where you can play with like the Shepherds and stuff like that, or you have Vex where you can play with Nova. And now it's kind of like this with this comp as well. It's like, if you end up in a world where you have AD items, or, you know, you get the extra dupes and you can go for like an Urgot 3, certainly you can play the Urgot version. But in a vacuum, this version is going to be stronger when you don't have those AD items, because the Urgot, what would an Urgot do on this board? Even if we had an Urgot 2, we have no items for him, so why would we play for him? Why not just play this board, get a lot more relevant units in? Like I said, this Morgana is really, really nice to help heal up the mech and just give it a little bit more DR. The 4%, you know, is solid, and then when it's 10%, I mean, that is actually a huge extra amount of DR onto the Mighty Mech, which it's not a stat that's that valuable on the mech, because the mech inherently gets DR from its ability, but you can never have too much DR, right? It's never, you know, a downside to have an extra 10 DR on your giant tanky bunch of Gargoyle, bunch of HP Mighty Mech here. But yeah, you can see Wasian just coasting at this point through these fights here. The main question is, can we cap out? Also, check this, by the way. The Mighty Mech just gets blown up by this Jinx comp. I think this Jinx comp is just actually insane. Like, did you see how quickly the mech died just to Jinx burst? I feel like that line's insane. We can pop Anvil here. I would think he's just gonna opt to take the bramble here. So there's a lot of armor, there's a lot of AD in this lobby, so the armor is going to be quite valuable, and just having an extra secondary tank in this Morgana is never bad. Sometimes you do fight people like that Jinx board and the Mighty Mech does get blown up, and having the Morgana allowed us to actually not end up losing that fight. You know, we had an extra tank there, and so the bramble is gonna be really nice there. And yeah, we do have a fight that we actually win here, which the Morgana does a lot of good tanking with. So nice top 4 so far for Wasian. Randomly gets this double blitzcrank shot, which is not bad, and he's just gonna level here for the Sona, and then says, actually, Sona's not really going to do anything on this board because he got the on auto attack one. It's like, well, who on this board actually even auto attacks? Opts to play the Fiora here for a little bit of healthy greed because we're pretty much guaranteed to win against this player. They just have a level 8 Corki board. There's no way that we're actually going to lose this fight, so we might as well throw the Fiora on this board, heal up a little bit so that we get that extra HP versus other players. Now, I do think the Bard is going to be a max cap here. The Fiora is traitless because we are not playing the Marauder in the Urgot, so no reason for this Fiora to really stay on this board, but she can exist now on the board and heal us up a little bit. There's no reason not to, right? It's actually totally chill. Now that we have the Bard too, obviously he's going to come onto the board, and I imagine these Karma items are going to move over to the Bard, and then we're just going to look for last Bard item here. Kind of awkward. Really would have liked some kind of like AP item for him, but hey, I mean, honestly, the adaptive's not even the worst. Get the Bard casting and proccing this red buff and Morello and everything. So yeah, or red buff and void staff here. All right, rotate into the Jinx board again. Once again, our Mighty Mech just gets blown up in 2 seconds by just this burst from this Jinx board, but the rest of the board does enough work that we do pick up the win here. Very, very nice. And yeah, I mean, top 4, I mean, is easily still locked in, and really there's not much else to do at this point. You could roll for like 3-star 4 cost, 3-star 5 cost or something, but I think the biggest thing is just going to be positioning, making sure that our Morgana can tank a little bit for the Mighty Mech, but ideally just get some casts off and get that DR for the Mighty Mech. This is why we kind of have her front line, but we don't have her, you know, in a situation where she's going to like immediately take aggro, because we really want her to get this cast off, get that DR onto the entire board. It's really, really valuable. The other big thing, the reason why we're spreading this positioning out so much is for second win value, right? We don't want there to be a world like happened earlier where we almost lost to that Jinx board, where the Mighty Mech gets blown up before second win even procs. That is the way that we can lose fights, is if Mighty Mech just dies instantly, second win doesn't get procced. So that is what we need to play for in every single one of these fights. This guy rolling down for Corki 3, not much going to occur here. Love this play, by the way, for Wasian. Actually swaps the Fiora back in on the board once again to farm up to 18 HP. Just as such a, it's a little thing, but it actually could totally end up making a diff here. And he's like, I'm always going to beat this board. I might as well swap this guy in here. So smart from Wasianiverson here. Not really much to do at this point. He can roll for 3-star 5 cost, but I mean, he's pretty, I mean, he's seeing some blitzes. He's far, but not too far. I'm going to just take the Blitzcrank item here, or yeah, I mean, I guess we can move up red buff over to Blitzcrank here. Yeah, I like this a lot. Moves the Morgana over. Mighty Mech surely not going to get blown up here that quickly, though. The downside is Mighty Mech's not even receiving aggro at the start of the fight here. So second wind, I mean, at least procs, but doesn't really heal the Mech up very much. And yeah, we end up in this world where this was actually rough for a different reason, is that we got no second win value because the Mighty Mech just didn't take aggro here. Roll down, find, 6 Blitzcranks, but it's not really enough to send it to 0. So he needs to kind of split the difference. He needs the Mech to take a little bit of aggro, but not quite die. I mean, this looks pretty good for the Mech and the Morgana. Hopefully they can split aggro a little bit, though I think the Mech might be just taking full on aggro here. It's down. It's, I mean, how can you say this Jinx comp is not insane, by the way, though, where the ASOL's flying around a bit, but yeah, I mean, just a straight up loss. I mean, this is, I mean, one, I think this is a cool VOD to showcase this Mighty Mech comp, but this is my other big takeaway from this VOD is like, I feel like this Jinx comp is so good. I mean, Treasure Hunt is obviously a very, very solid augment. They reached everything. They got to the spat, the challenger spat here, got to good items on, you know, everybody. So it's obviously a capped out reroll board, and they even reached Maokai 3, but should a capped out reroll board beat Wasian's level 10 board from Anima Cash Out? I mean, I certainly don't think so, but hey, I mean, that's life. So yeah, that is the game. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy it, please like the video. Helps out the channel a lot. Subscribe if you are not already. Comment down below. Who do you think should have won that last fight? Aside from that, check out my Twitch down below. For people who like to watch my stream, I'm probably gonna stream later tomorrow or today, I guess, on Sunday night, because I have something to go to in the afternoon. But I will stream in the evening. I'll get that stream in, and check out my Metafy as well for all your coaching needs, especially if you are ready to start locking in for the next set, getting some coaching to talk just through fundamentals, or to look at I lost my train of thought. It's 2 a.m. I'm recording this video. I'm gonna see you guys later. Thanks for watching as always. Bye-bye.